I spent most of the last 20 years helping some of the world's biggest companies work out who they were, what they stood for, and how to tell that story. And yet, somewhere along the way, I've realized I've become much less certain about my own, which doesn't make sense because on paper, life had worked out. I had a career, I'd met someone and got married, 3 beautiful children. We even bought this ridiculous old farm in the middle of the Polish forest, which was our dream. And we've turned it into our home over the last 5 years. I've got a lot of things that I spent my whole adulthood working towards. And yet I can't shake this question of when did life become so serious? Just full to the brim with work and logistics, people always needing something, things to maintain, things to organize, pay for, remember. So I started wondering whether something happens to us while we're busy becoming adults. Maybe we don't suddenly become the wrong people. Maybe we just stop doing most of the things that made us most like ourselves. But I think there's a way of finding some of those things again that doesn't involve quitting your job. It doesn't involve reinventing yourself or blowing up the life you've already built. I believe it starts by looking backwards. Not because life was better then, and not because we should all try to become 25-year-old versions of ourselves again, but because I think we've been leaving behind clues. We've been leaving behind breadcrumbs. When you're a child, no one has to tell you to have interests, hobbies. You just have them. You just enjoy things. You draw things, you build things, you collect pointless things, you ride your bike somewhere just because, for no reason. You become obsessed with horses or athletics or the Spice Girls, whatever your thing might have been. You make things badly. Not because someone has told you it has to be a certain way. You just enjoy the process, not just because you're good at it. You don't ask yourself whether it's productive. You just like it. Then different questions creep in, like, is this useful? Do I have time? Am I too old for it? Should I be doing something more productive? And the big one, what will people think? Gradually, without ever making a conscious choice, entire parts of what makes you, you disappear. It happens in these tiny trades. Not tonight. Maybe next week. Oh, I've got to get past this deadline. When the kids are older, that's my favorite right now. Oh, when we've just finished this project. Oh, once the house is done. But then years pass. I know this because I've been doing some version of this fight with myself for most of my adult life. In my 20s, I became obsessed with buying my first flat in London. I'd got myself into stupid amounts of debt, talking credit cards, everything, mainly from having far too much fun. But then from learning that lesson, I swung completely the other way. I became incredibly painfully disciplined. I cut everything out. I became very good at saying no, mostly to myself, but also to any opportunity for joy or experiences that cost any kind of money. And I was living in London, so everything costs money. But then I started an experiment and I called it 25 things to do before you're 25. Every time I would turn 1 year older, I'd create a new list of everything that I wanted to do, learn, how I'd give back. And most importantly, these things didn't require any kind of huge amounts of money or impressing people. I taught myself things. I did a 100-mile cycle ride when I didn't even have a bike. I tried things I probably would have kept putting off, but instead I gave myself that annual deadline. And I kept doing it for years. Looking back, I think I was doing something more important. I was deliberately putting pieces of myself back into my life. I just didn't have the language or understanding yet. And that's really where this idea started. There's an enormous amount of advice out there telling us that the answer is to become someone new, to find your purpose, to reinvent yourself, to become your best self, to build the dream life, maybe to start over, to optimize. And sometimes maybe that's exactly what someone needs, but I think we've become obsessed with the idea that the answer must always be ahead of us, that we need to read one more book, get one more promotion, one more qualification, get that house, launch that business, a new morning routine, just another version of ourselves. I'm increasingly convinced that for many of us, some of the most useful answers are actually behind us. And people are scared to look back, always pushing forward. But somewhere in our own history are those moments when we were completely absorbed in something. Moments when you felt alive, when you felt connected and curious and playful and creative and useful just for the sake of it, and really just at peace in the moment. In these moments, we weren't thinking about who we were supposed to be. We were just busy actually being ourselves. And those moments contain information. They tell us something about the conditions in which you come alive. The important question isn't what did you used to do? It's what did it give you? Maybe you spent a gap year traveling. You don't need to sell your house and disappear with a backpack. But maybe what you're missing is that novelty, that uncertainty, that adventure that comes with discovering new places and not having a concrete plan. Once you understand why something mattered, you don't have to recreate the life that you had. You can bring that quality into the life that you have now. I've spent almost 15 years mentoring people in different jobs. They were different ages, from different backgrounds. But one thing I noticed is how fascinated we are by understanding ourselves. Yet we live in an environment that gives us extraordinary ways to lose sight of who we are. We know where everyone is traveling, what they're buying, what they're eating, what they're wearing, how they parent, and what success apparently looks like. Even breakfast can become a performance for an audience. Sometimes I wonder how many decisions we would make differently if nobody else was ever going to see them. Would you still choose that holiday, even if you knew the pictures of those beautiful turquoise waters would never end up on Instagram? Would you choose that car? It looks great, but is it practical? How about that job? Is that the job you're chasing for you or for someone else? Do you want that version of your life? It's an uncomfortable question. And I'm not saying that I'm immune to any of this. I'm not sitting on a farm somewhere having achieved perfect balance while I meditate at sunrise and have meaningful conversations daily with my children over a beautifully prepared organic breakfast. Some days are chaos. There are things that I know would make me happier that I still don't integrate into my life enough. But stopping and asking yourself those questions rather than just continuing to go through the motions is better than carrying on like this. I want to leave you with one question, and don't answer too quickly. When in your life have you felt most like yourself? Not the happiest, not the most successful, not when life was easiest, just when you felt most like yourself. Where were you? Who were you with? Can you remember what you were doing? What did an ordinary day look like back then? And most importantly, what was present in that version of your life that isn't present enough now? Make sure you write it down, because that might be a more useful starting point than asking yourself, what should I do next? That's what I want to explore here. What we've lost, what still matters, and what we bring back. I'm really looking forward to going on this journey with you. If you want to share what you wrote down, I'll see you in the comments. Until next time.